Hello and welcome to another Y-PAC Check-in. My name is Sean Davido and I'm here with Randy Beehler, the Communications and Public Affairs Director for the City of Yakima. Thank you for joining me, Randy.
Thanks, Sean.
And today we're going to recap a little bit of the Yakima City Council meeting and some of the COVID-related actions that they may have taken in their meeting recently. Can you just give us a little update about where the city is in the COVID-19 emergency declaration? Can you tell us what is the plan moving forward? What's the plan to reopen or not to reopen, I suppose?
Well, right now, the emergency declaration that was put into place by the Yakima City Council, originally put into place by Mayor Patricia Byers, and then it was approved by the council. It's been extended once and may need to be extended again, given what happens at the state level with the governor's stay home, stay healthy order. We're still not sure. That's set to expire in early June. Both the governor's order and the city's emergency declaration are set to expire in early June. But that doesn't mean necessarily reopening on a broad scale. What dictates when businesses and when governmental entities, et cetera, can reopen is the phased plan that was announced by Governor Inslee a couple weeks ago. And currently, Yakima County, as with most counties in Washington State, are in phase one. Phase two, some counties have moved into phase two, where these are counties that have had very low rates of infection for a sustained period of time. Unfortunately, Yakima is not in that category yet. And exactly when phase two of the plan will be initiated more broadly, not just in those counties that are given exemptions, but more broadly, is still unknown. We don't know a date. This isn't, again, as we've said multiple times, this is not driven by dates, but by data. And we're still here in Yakima County experiencing a pretty high infection rate relative to other places, and frankly, on the East Coast. And that there are a lot of reasons why that has to do with the concentration of long-term care facilities and manufacturing facilities in Yakima County. Also has to do a lot with the fact that the vast majority of workers in Yakima County were deemed essential from the very beginning and have continued to go to work. So that all has contributed to our infection rate. Moving to phase two will allow some other businesses to reopen, but government, like the City of Yakima, our buildings won't open until phase three. And when phase three may begin, again, we're not sure. We don't know exactly when that might happen. But what is happening right now, particularly with the City of Yakima, is plans are being made, plans are being developed for how public buildings would be reopened, what sorts of measures would be in place, restrictions even for in-person contact, what new equipment might we need to buy and install, like plexiglass shields. So a lot of that planning is, of course, being done now in anticipation of whenever we are able to move to phase three and begin reopening government buildings.
Now, not only that, on the city website, you can also go to the virtual, you can do a lot of things online. You can use the virtual City Hall. I'm going to pull that up here real quick and share that with people.
Yeah, and of course, throughout the entire last few months here, the city has been highly and strongly encouraging people to use these kinds of tools, like you see on your screen, the virtual city services. This helps you to conduct business with the city without having to do it in person. You can pay refuse bills and water bills. You can get a dog license. You can have building plans reviewed and approved. All of that can be done virtually. You don't have to come to a city building to do that. And on this page, you're able to click and find information about how to do those different tasks that maybe you were more familiar with doing in person, but don't have to now, or frankly, moving forward.
And the city is still operating. Most departments are still operating fully. Some people are working from home. Street crews are still out. Police and fire are still responding. Most city services, garbage, everything else is still providing service.
Yeah, all city services are being provided at the regular level, except for things like recreation programs. And that's something that we're in the process right now of seriously evaluating as we move closer and closer to the summertime and the launch normally of programs like recreation programs for kids in the park during the summertime, opening of Franklin Pool. We're evaluating that right now as to whether or not that will be feasible to do, and frankly, whether it will be cost effective. For example, opening Franklin Pool, just to open the doors and get everything going and operating for a normal season would cost about $140,000. So if that gets pushed further and further into the summer, where the swimming season at Franklin would be shorter and shorter, the ability for that to make economic sense for the city to receive enough revenue to justify opening the pool, that's a question that is being discussed, being talked about, and we'll have an answer here pretty soon. But those are difficult questions that we're still faced with.
Right. Now, some other things that are being talked about, the Yakima City Council talked about cruising and the cruising ordinance. Can you talk a little bit about where we are with that? A lot of people enjoy cruising. I enjoy cruising too. This isn't a COVID issue. This is a different issue. Can you talk a little bit about where the city is?
Yeah. So, a couple of weeks ago or so, again, it's kind of hard to keep track of time, but there were a large number of people who ended up going downtown on a Friday and Saturday night and cruising and sitting along the sidewalk, and also in parking in privately owned lots. And unfortunately, while many of the people who were cruising were following all of the rules, in fact, the vast majority of people follow the rules, but there were some that were not, and it caused a problem. And the reason why cruising isn't allowed right now isn't because of the COVID-19 emergency, although the gatherings of large groups of people that is in conflict with the governor's stay home, stay healthy order for sure. But that's not really the issue. Last year, in the fall of last year, the city council at the time approved a change to the cruise control ordinance, allowing for cruising to happen on 8 days during a year. The second Saturdays of June, July, August, and September. So in May, there aren't any dates that are available under the cruise control ordinance for cruising to be allowed. What the council discussed at its most recent meeting was putting on the next agenda, which is June 2nd, that's the council's next regular meeting, the potential for getting rid of rescinding the cruise control ordinance. So, we're kind of in a wait and see now. We'll see what happens, but as it stands today, cruising is not allowed except on the second and third Saturdays in June, July, August, and September.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about what some of the council actions were, at least some information that they're looking for, the small business assistance and some of the potential funding for that. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that may be structured?
Yeah, a lot of the business support during the COVID-19 emergency has come from the state government, federal government. It isn't really something that the city of Yakima has been involved in, not just during the COVID emergency, but that isn't really an area that the city of Yakima has much experience in offering that kind of assistance. However, through some creativity and some innovation, the city does have the possibility of using some funding that we receive from the federal government. It's called Community Development Block Grant Funding, commonly known by the acronym of CDBG. And it's possible to use some of that money for a revolving loan program for small businesses. What the council decided at its most recent meeting is to partner with the Yakima County Development Association, YCDA, which does have experience managing these kinds of programs.
So, I'm going to share their website also. I'm going to share their website.
Oh, great. Yeah, the Yakima County Development Association, really the economic development agency in Yakima County. And you see on their on their website there that there's already some information that YCDA has put on its website about COVID-19 and how folks can, businesses in particular, can try and find some assistance. What the City Council has decided is to work with YCDA to manage a program where small business loans will be provided using that money from CDBG. Exactly how that program will be structured, when it will be launched, and how it will be administered is still to be determined. The first step was taken by the council at its recent meeting to enter into this partnership with YCDA. Now the work of designing this structure for the small business loan program is underway, and hopefully soon we'll have more information about how businesses in Yakima can access that program.
Wonderful. Now let's talk a little bit about information. If people are looking for COVID-19 information provided by the City of Yakima, I'm going to share the screen again here. Can you talk a little bit about where people can find that?
Sure. So on the city's website front page, which is at www.yakimawa.gov, this is our front page. This is what you come to when you open our website. And right at the top there, Sean just clicked on the banner, that picture with the mountain in the back, clicked on COVID-19, and here you see a lot of information from the city about different steps the city has taken specifically to protect workers and to protect customers. And then a little bit below that, you can see, well, actually, if you go back up just a tad, you can see right there that City of Yakima COVID communications, all of the information that the city has put out in the form of news releases and other information, you can click on that and find it. So you can kind of track here how the city has been putting out information. And then below, in the helpful links section, there are links to the governor's office, to his stay-at-home order, to the phased-in approach that the Washington State is taking to reopen the state. There are links there to the Washington State Department of Health, the Yakima Health District, which is the local agency that's responsible for responding to public health crises, and then also a link there to the CDC, to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website, which is, of course, the national public health agency. So a lot of information there, a lot of opportunity for people to find information about what's going on with this emergency right now.
Now, we just recently had an update from the Yakima Health District on Y-PAC, and the health officer gave the information about masks. Wearing the mask can help us get out of phase one, and how important it might be. Some people question whether it's an important thing or not. I try to wear my mask everywhere I go. It's an interesting thing. Some people are wearing them, some people aren't. I definitely think it's an important thing, though, and we should touch on that also. So,
well, according to public health officials and public health agencies and experts, medical professionals, wearing a mask is a simple way that you can protect other people from potentially being infected by you. A lot of people are seeing wearing masks as protecting themselves from becoming infected. And in fact, it's really the opposite. It's helping you to not infect other people. I like to think of it as a little bit of a security blanket. It makes me feel comfortable, frankly, when I'm out in public that other people are wearing masks. I was reading an article, interestingly enough, recently about the history of mask wearing for infectious diseases throughout history. And it's been a common practice, has been proven to be effective in containing the spread. And I guess as an incentive to people who are somewhat hesitant to wear masks, maybe the faster one way that we can control an infectious disease is through wearing masks. That can help us more rapidly move to the next phases of reopening Washington State. So there are a lot of legitimate reasons for wearing masks. I also understand some people's hesitance to do so, but the recommendation from the CDC and from the Yakima Health District continues to be to wear masks when you're out in public.
I'm not out in public, but I just want to show off my mask.
It's a nice
Some people
mask.
complain about it fogging up a little bit, I
Yeah.
learned that if you tuck it tuck the glasses under it, it doesn't fog up as much. So
Wow. I will try that.
it works for me. So I've also heard shaving cream. Wash it with shaving cream, but
I think I featured my mask a while back, but what's kind of interesting about this mask is you can see it's got the names and icons of different cities in Washington State. My sister-in-law has made this mask for me. Pretty cool.
Nice. Yes. My mother-in-law made mine. It's a Star Wars mask.
Oh, nice.
I wore it on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So, I do want to give some people about information. Speaking of masks, recently we had the Mount St. Helens anniversary, and I had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Dick Zase, and I want to be able to point people to not only that, but where people can find the Yakima City Council meeting if they want to watch it on Y-PAC. I'm going to share the screen here. Can you give people a little bit of information about programming? Mr. Zase and I featured your program that you did for the 20th anniversary, which is a wonderful look back at Mount St. Helens, and I highly suggest people take a look at that on the YouTube channel, on the city's YouTube channel.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I have pretty strong memories of Mount St. Helens when the mountain blew. I was 14 years old at the time, and it doesn't seem like 40 years ago. But looking back, being able to hear the stories from Dick Zase, who was the city manager in Yakima at the time, he was young. He was a young city manager. He was 30 years old at the time. He'd only been in the job about a year, a little bit more than a year, when the mountain blew, and it was a lot of, as you might imagine, a lot of pressure, a very unique public emergency at that time. And he has some interesting perspectives and has a lot of memories to share. The piece that I did for the 20th anniversary, again, hard to think that was 20 years ago, but uses a lot of archival news footage, and really is a kind of a window back in time to see what was what the world was like then. And it's great to kind of have those opportunities to look back.
And this the YouTube channel has multiple videos on it. We have our check-ins on our YouTube channel, our Yakima Minutes. A lot of useful programming can be found on the City of Yakima's YouTube channel. And also,
nice thing about it is you can watch it at your leisure.
Yes, and also on Y-PAC, you can watch the City Council meetings, multiple other meetings, John Fannon's Yakima Minutes here. A lot of programming is available on Y-PAC also, and great. On the City of Yakima's website.
Yep, very helpful.
Thank you very much for joining me today, Randy. We've given people a lot of information. Anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I do want to thank you again, though, for continuing to provide this opportunity for us to make regular contact with folks and provide them information on a consistent basis. I hope that it is appreciated by people. I know I appreciate it.
I think it's very important to get this information out on multiple levels and multiple platforms. So thank you for taking the time to sit with me and do a remote interview, the new way of the world, I suppose. So
there you go.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.
See ya.